Hi there everyone, welcome back. My usual 12 o'clock slot. Today just on Facebook, not on Instagram. We're going to continue to talk about being productive. And I just want to spend just 2 minutes just talking about this matrix, which is really simple and was developed decades ago, probably about 60 years ago, 70 years ago. But before that, please post any comments or questions you might have, anything you want me to talk about, feel free to message me. And as always, I'm available if anyone's got any questions or queries or comments, or just wants to have a chat about the practice life, associate life. I know that the BSA have just issued the new schedules. They've been released. So we know what NHS practices now know what they're getting next month, and I believe it is 100% with a future deduction to be made as the BDA and the BSA and the NHS are talking about what that deduction should be. So at the moment, for cash flow purposes, I think practices are okay, but there will be a deduction. I think most practices are going to work on the fact that they expect 20% to come back or to be taken off them at some point in the future, and so they're going to make sure that they're probably not going to pay their associates the full 100%. I think that would be foolish. I think because Wales and Scotland have both had 20% reductions in their contract values for their 1/12 payment, the likelihood is that we in England will also see that 20% reduction. So anyone needs to have a conversation. We're hopefully going to be on target for both of ours. I think we just made it over the 96% in one of our practices, and in the other one we were comfortably, I think, 99%. So we probably will be okay, and there won't be a clawback. But if there's going to be a deduction coming later, and then if there's clawback as well, then that's going to be quite a difficult pill to swallow. So it's all about managing your cash flow and making sure that you're resilient going forward. I do find it quite difficult that through this process, principals are being expected to take loans out to pay everyone, and associates are getting pretty much what they would have got anyway, having not done any work, and that seems rather unfair. So I think there's probably a conversation to be had between principals and associates, because it has to be a win-win. And if it's seen that it's acceptable for the business owner to go and take a loan to keep the business going, but the associate who has no risk in the business walks away with exactly what they would have got, and probably a bit better if they've not got any lab bills, it does seem a little bit unfair. But that's my view on it. I'm sure everyone will have mixed views on it, and there'll be everything in between. I hope that we can look for win-wins, but I think associates probably are going to have to take a cut, or at least have a discussion that maybe it's worthwhile to keep the practice going, to help the practice so that they don't have to take such a large loan, or are able to take a loan that can spread out over the period. Because even though we're allowed to take loans now, or we're being encouraged to take loans now, the window for that will close, and I suspect the window for that will close probably towards the end of June. It's just my speculation, but that won't be the most critical point, because they're really going to be more expensive when we go back to work. And I suspect that if principals don't take loans now and hold on to them and manage the cash flow now, when we get back to work, I think we might find that practices are really struggling. Anyway, I think that's a long enough introduction. So this is part of my how to be productive, or productivity goals, vision, mission topics that I've been talking about. And I like this because it's quick and dirty. It's very simple to use. So this is about looking at the tasks that you've got to do day to day, and then deciding what's worth doing and what's not worth doing. So you've got these 4 quadrants, which is to do, plan, delegate, and eliminate. And along the bottom you've got urgent and non-urgent, and at the side you've got important and not important. So something that's important and urgent you would do. So this is the stuff that's aligned to your goals, aligned to your mission, what you need to do to prevent pain. So it might be paying staff, it might be doing your compliance, it might be those kind of higher level things that need to be done. Now, some would argue that paying staff and doing compliance can be delegated, and of course it can be delegated if you have the resources to do that. But the important and urgent tasks you generally need to do. So that might be meeting the bank manager, speaking to the accountant, those things that you can't really delegate as easily unless you've got a very good team. I'd like to just point out that I have a very good team and they do an awful lot for me, which leaves me enough time to do this kind of thing. So I am very grateful. And then when we come back to it, we've got the important but not urgent. So that needs to be planned into your day, into your week. So you've got set time to do it because it doesn't need to be done immediately. This stuff needs to be done quickly. And then you've got the urgent, not important. So that can be delegated. So that's things like you've taken photographs, they need to be manipulated and sized and put into a document or put into a folder. You don't need to do that. Definitely a delegation task. Compliance, for example, can be delegated. We use, Sarah, my practice manager, does all our compliance and has been known to go out and help other people in doing that. And there are lots of practice managers that assist with compliance. And then this is the one that we get stuck on, the not important and the not urgent. So eliminate. So for example, you're doing an implant case and you want a certain music playlist on Spotify. You do not need to pull that music playlist out. Okay, I appreciate you're going to be, really working hard for 3 hours and you want to be relaxed and you want to enjoy it, and you want the patient to be relaxed. But, setting up things like that definitely don't need you. Setting up letters to be written to patients don't need you to do it. I wouldn't eliminate those need to be delegated, but there are things that we do day to day that we don't need to do, and they just need to be cut out. So things like watching TV, wasting time, and I know they're not specifically tasks that we're talking about, but certainly they sap our time and we really need to put them in this category and get rid of them. But tasks that we do, I don't know, I'd like to think that most of the tasks I do are not in this category because they've already gone, but I definitely need to work on this and get rid of more stuff. So I've recently taken on a virtual assistant based in the Philippines, and she does an awful lot of my admin for me personally. A lot of other things that I'm involved in she takes care of, and she's in my email and in my Google Drive just sorting stuff out that I would have to spend hours doing. So I think I've effectively delegated over the last sort of 3 months, and she is now my right hand. I literally can't function. If my virtual assistant was not available to me and my practice manager was not available to me, I'd be much, much less efficient, because I have to say, Sarah, my practice manager, does pretty much everything that isn't clinical in the practice for me. So I don't get to touch that. And then Chelsea, my virtual assistant based in the Philippines, she does pretty much everything that isn't related to dentistry, but is my personal admin. So I haven't yet got her to buy, presents for the kids and flowers for the wife on the birthdays, but there actually is a process written for that. So it is going to happen. And that's really bad, but it's really good because it takes time away from me. And you think it's only a few minutes, but it means I can spend more time doing this stuff that is probably more income generating, mission forwarding and fulfilling than the paying the electricity bill or making sure that my charitable payments are going out properly, or making sure there's no silly PayPal subscriptions that I've signed up to that I don't need to be doing. So it enables me to work in this area and this area, so the doing and the planning, rather than dealing with tasks I don't need to deal with. That's not to say that, if you're an associate, maybe you don't need a full-time assistant PA, but 5 or 6 hours a week doing your admin, doing your bank reconciliation and making sure that your direct debits are right, even a couple of hours a week would help. But once you get into the mindset of utilizing somebody to do those tasks, it suddenly opens up a world of what's possible. And so much so that I've used virtual assistants for a long time, and we've used virtual assistants in our other businesses. But recently I've really enjoyed the process a lot, and I've managed to convince a number of my colleagues also to explore using virtual assistants, especially for admin tasks. So a couple of my friends have got property businesses, and I've introduced them to virtual assistants. Another dentist I've introduced to virtual assistants. So it is a growing area, and maybe one day I'll do a talk specifically on virtual assistants and the benefits, and maybe a bit on onboarding and how you can start with a virtual assistant and how you need to be a little bit organised in order to pass over your tasks. So Chelsea, my virtual assistant, is in my inbox all the time, and she's also in my Google Drive, just sorting out documents and ordering documents and labelling documents. So I have a very specific labelling criteria for things, and I like it done in a certain way, and I've written a process and I've recorded a video on Chrome just to say this is how I'd like my stuff organised, and then she goes away and does that. And then, interestingly enough, when the process changes or gets refined, she redoes the video herself and updates it. So when we take on the next virtual assistant, they have a process manual of how I like my stuff done to go through, and it onboards them very quickly. And it's very similar to how you'd run your practice, isn't it? You'd want your practice to have a set of systems, ideally video, but most likely written, that you could just hand to a new recruit and say, this is how we do stuff, and this is how it is always done. And if you find that it's not being done this way, then maybe we need to change our system, or we need to completely reorganize it. But usually, so for example, in the practice, there might be a process and system for if X breaks down, if the chair breaks down, what happens? These are the checklist of things you have to go through. Is the room being switched on? Is the compressor on? Is the fuse at the wall on? Blah, blah, blah. You go through the system, and then if you're not finding what the answer is, then this is the number you call. You do not disturb the practice manager who's off-site or another place to ask her 25 questions and just interrupt her flow. So having systems and processes and delegating stuff out really makes sense. I know I've gone off at a tangent. So this is actually called the Eisenhower Matrix. So if you want to look it up, it's by the President of the United States, the 34th President, Dwight D. Eisenhower. And before he was president, he was an army general, and he used this in World War II to deal with the vast number of tasks he had to do, and he used this to delegate, to get rid of stuff, to just concentrate on the most important stuff. So if you want to look this up, it's the Eisenhower Matrix, and it's popularized enormously by Stephen Covey in his book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, which, if you haven't read, it is a seminal book for everyone in business and everyone in life. I think it's a really, really important book. So The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Covey, I'm sure you lot are all very clued up and you've read it. And if you know about it but haven't read it, I would really urge you in this time to go and read it or grab a copy. So we want to do more of this, and we want to get rid of these things. So maybe I'll talk to you about delegation and outsourcing at another time. Anyway, I think that's enough from me today. Tomorrow's talk is 11:30, not at 12 o'clock. I'm on a webinar somewhere. I've been booked on, and you know the usual places to come and catch me. Before I go, don't forget, we've got a couple of slots left for the free coaching that I'm offering for 2 months, 2 to 3 months. So I'm still looking for a principal and an associate, and I'm beginning just to get things together and organised so that we can make a start probably early next week. So it'd be really great if you have got questions or you're not sure. I'm talking to a few people at the moment. I expect we're going to fill the slots up in the next couple of days. But if you've got some questions, if you're worried about coaching, you've never been coached, or you think that coaching isn't for you and you don't need it, or you want it but you're not sure, just message me and we'll have a conversation. It's absolutely no problem at all. If you've never thought about having somebody mentor and coach you, then it's not in your circle, it's not in your mind, and it may just be that we need a conversation just to unlock that. And I may not be the right coach for you, but I think I am. And if you're a dentist in practice or an associate, I think I can accelerate your journey and move you forward. I had a really good conversation with a principal who's going to join us for coaching, and we really cut through a lot of the rubbish, and he's got some deliverables that he's got to go and do. So the only thing I require is that you're coachable, that you're willing to listen and move forward. You might disagree with things, but I would say just listen and see how they go. And do you know what? If things don't work, we will change them. We will find a solution. It's about working together, and it's about just pulling out from you what you want to do and how you want to move your business forward. Now, it may be that you want to shrink your business and you want to exit out, and sell, or you want to grow your business and sell. Whatever it is that you want to do, we're going to work towards your goals and your vision. But sometimes having that external sounding board and those external eyes looking in on your business can really help to focus it. So I promise you I'm going to work on your business with you diligently. I'm going to promise you that I'm going to help increase your enjoyment and increase the value of your business, hopefully by the time we finished our period together. And if you're an associate, I want you to enjoy your dentistry, and I want you also not to fear litigation. This is something that comes up time and time again when we're speaking to associates and dentists in general, that they fear this sword of Damocles hanging over them. And I've absolutely got it out of my head that I'm going to be sued, because I know what I deliver, and I'm confident in my delivery, and I'm confident in my notes. And do you know what? If it happens, so be it. I will deal with it, and it will not be the end of me. So I've reconciled it in my head that the world is a crazy place, and we will manage what comes through the door. We will manage what patients' expectations are. We will manage any external threats that occur to the business or to the individual. So I would hope that you'd give me the opportunity to work with you and help you to grow your business, to develop yourself, and let's see where we can take it in this period. Anyway, guys, I've taken a lot of your time today. Please get in touch. Let me know what you're thinking. Let me know if this is useful, if it's adding value, and I will see you tomorrow at 11:30 for my usual daily slot, and hopefully I'll bring you something of value. I hope that was valuable to you. Please don't think that you have to be productive all the time. There is such a thing as downtime, as my wife keeps telling me, but there is such a thing as downtime, and sometimes we do need to take a break. So apologies to those who were waiting on Instagram. I thought I'd just do a Facebook one today, and hopefully that's been valuable, and I'll see you tomorrow at 11:30. Take care, guys.